Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Muslim women and team sports. Later in the show we will talk to Nuha and Haleemah Azmi, who are two of 6 sisters involved with ball hockey. But first, on news headlines. Canada imposes new sanctions on Iran. The Order of Canada appointees less diverse. Group alleges Quebec government ignored racial profiling order. Rohingya jailed for entering Myanmar without documents. And now the details. Canada has imposed new sanctions on the Iranian regime following 4 months of nationwide protests that continue to rock the nation. Iran has seen ongoing demonstrations since the death of a 22-year-old, Mahsa Amini, at the hands of morality police in September last year. Melanie Joly, Minister of Foreign Affairs, announced yesterday the new restrictions under the Special Economic Measures regulations. The federal government says in the release the Iranian regime is continuing to crack down on demonstrations. It calls the actions of the Iranian government gross and systematic human rights violations. These new sanctions are imposed on 2 Iranians and 3 Iranian entities that are involved in human rights violation. The appointees for last year's Order of Canada do not fully represent the diversity of the Canadian population. The list of 184 recipients is also less diverse than the year before, according to a new analysis by a former Director General of Citizenship and Multiculturalism. His report shows that while women make up more than half of Canada's population, just less than a third of the appointees were women. Only 7.4% of last year's appointees were from racialized groups. The Order of Canada is considered the highest civilian award, recognizing people's extraordinary contributions to Canada. The Red Coalition, a Montreal-based anti-racism group, alleges that the Quebec government is complicit in ignoring a court order to rectify racial profiling. This comes after a human rights tribunal judge in a 2020 ruling said police officers must be trained in collecting race-based data while stopping people, and that the data must be published. According to the Red Coalition, the order was allegedly not followed, and the Ministry of Public Security is to blame. The human rights group has shared letters dating back to 2021 to support their claim. The Ministry of Public Security says it has never instructed anyone to disobey the court order. The Myanmar junta government has imprisoned 112 Rohingya for entering the country without any legal documents, reports local media. A court in the southern Ayeyarwady region sentenced 5 children under the age of 13 to 2 years in prison and 7 others above 13 to 3 years. Adults were sentenced to 5 years in prison. The local authorities reported that they arrested them in late December near an island as they entered by motorboats. Over 1.2 million Rohingya are currently hosted by Bangladesh in 33 cramped camps in the southern border district of Cox's Bazar. The Rohingya fled a brutal military crackdown in Myanmar in 2017. And that's it for the news. Exercise, as is well known, is a crucial part of good health. In Canada, Muslim women, for many reasons that we will hope to explore in our upcoming interview, can find it difficult to exercise. To talk to us more about Muslim women and team sports and exercise in general, we are joined by Haleemah and Nuha Azmi from the Muslim Women Ball Hockey League. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. The Taliban have made the news recently for banning women's access to gyms. So I guess they're trying to claim that somehow it's not a good idea for women to go to gyms, or I don't even know if they think that it means women shouldn't exercise. But can you just talk to us a little bit about some of the barriers that Muslim women face with regard to accessing exercise? Let's start with Haleemah.
Okay. Honestly, there's a lot of barriers that do come into part.
Not to mention that the way that we dress, a lot of people do get uncomfortable with that aspect,
Mm,
and, not and the stereotypes that come with us having to walk around, and they are not used to seeing us being in active sports or even active anything,
mm,
honestly.
mm. So you're talking about people who aren't Muslim, I guess, feeling awkward around women in headscarves in sports.
Yep.
Let's get back to that in a minute. I was just trying to tap into the barriers from inside the Muslim community. Let's, Nuha, if you have something to
Oh
add.
yeah, like definitely I think that a lot of culture within Muslim communities, a lot of them already have such an issue with believing they themselves believe that women shouldn't play sport, even though it was encouraged by our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for people to be active within sports. Definitely it's a cultural barrier 100% because a lot of parents don't believe that their girls should play sports. They believe that they should be at home, that they shouldn't engage in things like this, that it's sports belong to like men and men should be the ones playing it. So that in itself is the biggest barrier I think for Muslim women within the communities. And just in general, it's about going around and trying to figure out how to do sports in like the halal way,
Mm.
and whether that's wearing, like clothing that covers and everything like that. Everything is a possibility. It's just that people on purpose are choosing, like most people within the Muslim community are choosing to just not try to make it possible for Muslim girls.
There's a lot there in what you've both said. I just want to ask this question. I don't know if it's something that we need an academic answer to, but
Yeah.
do you have any idea how did it happen if the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to encourage sport and now we have Muslim majority cultures discouraging women? Do we know how that happened?
I honestly, I'm not sure. Like in the sense, I think that I feel like I don't know if it's an academic answer or not, but I just feel like it's just something that's driven by years and years of culture and years of Muslim women and women in general. It's
Hmm.
not only Muslim women, but women in general. They were put on this pedestal from long ago, and we still haven't been able to breach that yet. Yeah.
Mm. And Halima, you talked about the barriers from the outside community. I do want to get to that, but how has you and your sister and others, I think, in your family, you have founded a sports Muslim Women Ball Hockey League. So, what was it about your teachings that helped you overcome these cultural barriers?
I think it was our parents being so open to the idea of it. They were always encouraging us to play sports, and they never once told us that it was not a possibility to us as Muslim women, which is
Mm.
huge because we had that encouraging factor even from our brothers. We were able to have them encourage us to go and play sports. So we never felt that there was a barrier towards us, but we did see it as we were playing.
Then tell us what ball hockey is, because in Australia we just say hockey, that means out on the grass. In Canada, they have something called ice hockey. Not
Yeah.
tell us what ball hockey
So
is.
ball hockey is essentially just the same concept as like field hockey or ice hockey, but instead we're playing on like concrete. We're playing on concrete or road or anything like that. You have instead like a hard plastic ball, and then you just have your helmet and your stick. And essentially, it's almost like a much cheaper option for people who want to engage in the sport because ice hockey, as everyone knows, is very expensive. So it was an option for people who have less income and everything like that. It was an option for them to be able to play the sport and be able to be involved in that whole aspect of the community for hockey. But yeah, like that's one of the reasons why we played hockey because we didn't have enough money and to put ourselves in ice hockey, so that's why we went towards ball hockey.
So let me ask the prior question from Halima. Why hockey? Why not tennis or something else? Halima.
I'll take that one. Our dad loved hockey as he grew up. He immigrated here when he was 3 and from Pakistan, and he took a loving to hockey and to the team here, the city team, Toronto Maple Leafs. And as we grew up watching hockey every Saturday in our basement in our house, and it kind of became just something that he wanted us to go into, and then we kind of found a loving for it as we started growing.
Yeah,
So is there a ball? Is there a women's ball hockey league, like
yeah,
a generic? So Noha, tell us about that. Did you play in that before you did
yeah.
Muslim
So
MMA?
So basically, we had a local, at a community center, actually, we had a lot, like about two or so women's ball hockey league.
Mm.
And whenever we used to go see our brothers go to play for it, we used to see these women there, and we were obviously very like intimidated. We didn't want to, we were like, oh, maybe it's not our place, maybe we're not good enough. And so after a lot of pushing again from like our brothers and like our dad, we were like, okay, we'll go ahead and join it. And so we joined that league, and from that league, we were able to develop and continue on and like, even go as far as to provincials and nationals.
So Haleemah, then that would be probably where your experience you were talking about at the very beginning of the show, non-Muslims are looking at you, reacting maybe negatively. You're playing ball hockey, but you're wearing a headscarf. So how did you adapt the hijab requirements to be able to play ball hockey?
We were very fortunate enough that the head of the league, we had many scenarios where they did have some impact, like they had some like negative responses to our hijabs, and they would not claim it, but there was negative responses towards it. And thankfully the head of the league did respond very well to it. He told them that there's nothing wrong and that we will be given a certain jersey color so that the hijab will not cause any complications towards them. So yeah, it's very like when you have like the leadership also playing a role in it, it does impact the way that people view us.
Leadership, if either positive or negative, the leadership can either say, yeah, we don't want women in hijab, or the leadership can say, no,
Exactly.
it's
Very
not
important.
allowed.
Yeah.
So you had a good leader then, good leadership. Nuha, you want to share something?
So about the same concept for what Haleemah was just talking about. So like in general, like our hijab, we were fortunate enough to be able to find a type of hijab that worked with us. But because we used to wear black, it was an issue. And so then, like we have a lot of people going up to the team being like, oh, we can't tell the difference of the colors, and we can't, like trying to make a problem with it. But then the head of our league, who is always very encouraging towards us, was like, you know what, that's not their problem, that's your problem. And then instead of like having to cause this huge commotion with everything, he just gave them the jerseys. He just gave them the color jerseys and gave us the black jerseys because he was like, this is ridiculous.
Well, that's good. I'm happy to know that. But we're almost out of time, and I want to make sure we can squeeze in the Muslim women ball hockey. Tell whose idea was it? Did you found an actual league with different teams, Haleemah?
Well, it's kind of like something that we see in the community around us. It's like we founded it on the fact that we saw interest coming in when a lot of our articles and things were coming out. Many of the Muslim communities were saying, oh my God, I wish that we had something like this. Many of the Muslim women were saying it. So we started it, and it was just practice sessions in the beginning, and it continued on to we were hoping. And then as we go on, we see other groups of Muslim women trying to create their own Muslim ball hockey practice leagues and everything like that.
So, Nuha, do you have competitions, or is it just one team playing amongst yourselves?
In regards to the Muslim ball hockey?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so like we had like teams essentially for our get-togethers. We would separate the two into two separate teams and then have them play each other. But we are looking to even challenge, because we know a bunch of different Muslim girls from different areas of where we live, and we wanted to be able to create like a friendly competition match between our team and somebody else's team.
So if we're almost out of time. If someone wants to join the Muslim Women Ball Hockey League, how do they?
So they would either contact us through Instagram or through like one of our emails, because our emails have been spread around. And they would just ask us about what the status of everything is. But we would also, like, because ours is not fully running up yet again since COVID, we do have a bunch of other people who have started up their own little Muslim ball hockey ball hockey league. So yes, we would just send them and keep them in touch with them.
Okay, well, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. Stay safe, and God bless.